What do you mean? What's the problem?
They all hurt, right?
We are now live streaming.
It's over there.
Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. Missing the wheel
You'll adjust the height.
Yeah.
here. Yes. Right, Mark. Broke the chair.
You have to
Either
swap
that.
chairs. Change the height. Make it easy.
Oh my
Sounds
God.
like Napoleon, like he he's got to sit up. Home book.
Yeah, we gotta get it.
Yeah, but you couldn't get back in.
All right, I guess we have a couple people here that want to address the board on some projects this evening. Dave, is there anybody?
The first one, Severn Development.
Severed.
Severn Development here. 5666 Broadway. No, they were supposed to be here. Second one is 5309 Genesee Street. You guys step up.
Come on up. Please tell us who you are and your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name's Bob Blood, landscape architect at Greenman Peterson, GPI. And joining me is Jim Maas and his daughter Jackie, who own and reside at the property at 5309 Genesee Street. Our reason for being here is this concept plan that we've been looking into the development possibilities and feasibilities for this site to do an event center that would host special events and things like weddings and that on the property. We did meet with Matt and Ed at a preliminary fashion and kind of got their initial comments, and we were hoping, grateful for the time tonight to maybe just flesh out some of your gut reaction and initial thoughts, concerns before we embark on the next, more defined phase of site plan review and development. So the property, in my opinion, located right in the heart of Bowmansville, between Sacred Heart Church and Ellicott Creek. On the south side of the road, the entrance to the site is currently located and would remain right opposite the vicinity of the new fire station control traffic light. The site itself, given its proximity to the creek, presents some environmental constraints. The blue line we have shown here, solid blue, is the floodway for Ellicott Creek. This dash line that sort of mirrors it but extends a little bit beyond is the 100-year floodplain. So we will want to keep the building out of those limits as we have shown. We also had a preliminary wetland delineation performed, which identified a large pocket of wetland, federal wetland in this area. It's likely that'll be jurisdictional given its connectivity to the creek, so we're avoiding that. There is a smaller pocket identified up kind of where we have the building placed now. It's the wetlands consultant's opinion that would not be jurisdictional. It's not connected to the waterway, and it does seem to originate from a roof drain on the back of the school building. So given all that, the proposed structure is just under 3,400 square feet and would be located up, tucked in behind the church and the school, connected by a roadway with a small parking and drop-off area associated next to the building, and then a main parking area down next to the road. There is some talk, perhaps some shared access to capitalize on the church parking as well. There's also a dovetailing of uses here, maybe with receptions taking part at the shrine and receptions happening at this facility or vice versa. But that's the rough outlay of the plan. The building itself would be a barn-type structure, approximately 32 feet high with the open central corridor, exposed framing, and then right now 2 porches, open porches on either side that might be enclosed at some point. So, I mean, I don't know how much time we have. That's sort of a rough outlay. I don't know, Jim, you want to say anything, or if you have any questions right off the bat?
Yeah, could you point to where the driveway is going to be again? Show me
The
exactly.
current access to the property right now, Jim's house is here, Jackie lives over here, so there's a gravel driveway that connects the two and does kind of go back into the property. That would remain. We're thinking of a photo opportunity spot down near the water's edge, which that would provide access to, but the access to the property would be the way it exists now, which is right at that light.
And you guys are the owners of those 2
Yes.
houses right there? So
I am.
we're not going to get any complaints from the residents right there? There's nobody else around there
No,
besides the church?
just the church.
On the other side of the creek, maybe, and we've oriented that photo spot to kind of be back away from where there would be some impact.
Live music?
Sure.
Potentially, yes.
What's like the maximum number that you're looking at, like how many people?
200, that's based on the size of the building and parking and, what we needed. That's as big as we can go, and 200 seems to be a good number. 150, 200 seems to be about an average. When we did our studies of the different buildings, just our market research.
And on the front corner of that barn building, it may be tough to see, but we have identified sort of a all-purpose seating area, flexible seating that can accommodate 200 people if there's some sort of reception or ceremony of some kind that could be facilitated right there on the front of the building.
So you'd have like catered food and all that being brought in?
Yeah, we weren't going to do the cooking, but we definitely have talked to some people, even from Lancaster, about catering.
So that hatched area that would be behind the building would be perhaps where a caterer could load and unload, or maybe if a food truck or something could be parked there, but that would be tucked in back behind. Utilities are going to present a challenge with the sanitary sewer, getting out the Genesee. We can do it, kind of wrapping it around their property. Again, discussions with the church, there might be a possibility to make a more direct connection through their property. That could be arranged somehow, but these are things yet to come. We're just sort of identifying the constraints now, and as I said before, we embark into the next phase. We're appreciative of Matt and Ed giving their time, and asked if we could maybe get the same
Matt,
sort of reaction. from
Is
you guys.
there any zoning concerns, or is it a zoning rezone? Is it a,
No, there are none. It's a multifamily mixed-use district. It's a permitted use. The physicalities of the property itself, obviously the floodplains, the wetlands, it's in the access management district, and they're utilizing that traffic signal to get into the property correctly.
And what's on the east side of the property? The
East side.
farmland or something back over there?
Which,
East would be directly
That
to the
way.
right.
Yeah.
That's the Chesterton Academy School Building.
and then the grave sites are behind there, but the property goes all the way diagonal, all the way back to the creek again, and most of that is wetlands.
Okay.
This is another 7 acres back there.
So outside of wedding venues and that, what were you thinking in between those type of venues?
We are thinking about like an educational thing, maybe homeschooling, co-ops, showers, that sort of thing, and anything else really in that building? Just
The
the
schooling was what originated this whole thing. She was thinking about doing some Montessori school or something of that nature, but
Like a part-time.
we're unsure if that, this becomes a very big project. So, but we would love to do other things in there, definitely. Meetings, the church has already asked if they could use the facility if they were, we've been round and round with the church quite a few times, just trying to get some ideas. What do they think? What they would love to be able to use the outside shrine and be able to walk over to the venue.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Add anything engineering that we,
No, engineering's pretty, again, the wetlands, floodplain, we deal with that, and utilities, everything else is pretty straightforward. Utilities aren't gonna be a lot, I assume, a set of restrooms on site probably, and,
Yeah,
I mean, that's about it.
And sir, you said your name was Bob?
I'm Bob Blood, yes.
Bob Wood?
Blood, B-L-O-O-D.
Thank you.
and when do you plan on moving forward? I mean, ballpark, if you're not holding you to any.
yeah, well, I mean, as soon as possible. What we really want to do is get a preliminary so that I can start hiring the architect and use their engineering firm to nail down all the stuff we want to do, at least building-wise. You know, how we're going to get the plumbing and all that done, electrical. And then once that's in place, it's a matter of finding the contractor. We've had 3 of them approach us already because they heard what we were doing.
So
So
maybe 2024-ish?
that's what we're thinking.
Opening up, yeah.
We don't think it would be able this year.
Yeah, no,
You know, just so much has to be done.
Sure.
for us to- Approvals and everything, you know. But well, that's our hope.
Anything else? Anybody?
I got nothing.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much. Good luck, and
Good luck. Do we have anybody here from Severn Development yet? You guys want to come on up and state your name and your address in the microphone for the clerk for the record? Got some users.
and this is for 5666 Broadway.
That is correct. William Severin, Severin Development. I do have some handouts for everybody as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for hosting us this evening. Again, William Severin from Severin Development. I am presenting on behalf of Deerhurst Property Management. Owner's name is Mr. Jeffrey Renzoni. Today, he'd like to request some feedback on a preliminary concept site plan for his property that he currently owns at 566 Broadway. The property is located just outside of the village, actually right where the Welcome to the Village of Lancaster sign exists on the north-hand side of Broadway. Property is currently about 14 and a half acres, of which he intends on developing just about 3.5. It would be the initial parcel closest to Broadway, in front of Plum Bottom Creek. Okay, and currently he has 2 different concepts to develop a total of 24 townhome-style income units. Okay, each one will have 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, targeted rental rates anywhere between $1,800 and $2,100 a month. And really what he's looking for are just some family tenants, longer-term tenancy. So he does intend on investing a little bit more into the elevation, which you can see on the first page of the proposal that we provided. And again, he has experience currently managing, I believe, 35 different units. He owns properties all over Western New York. He's looking to add this to his portfolio. So today, really what we wanted to get is feedback. Mr. Renzoni has engaged Carmina Wood Design for the site layout. We have not made a formal application yet. He's also working with Sutton Architecture for the design of each unit. Okay, a little bit of statistics on the property. Like I said, it's about 14.5 acres. He intends on developing just 3.5 acres of it, property in front of Plum Bottom Creek. There are no wetlands in the area that we're currently looking to disturb and develop. It is currently zoned for multifamily, and we fit within the density given the fact the majority of that building is actually behind the creek. We also do meet our parking requirements. We do have in either plan, okay, 48 spaces. The plan I'm showing you first is our preferred design, which would actually get us closer to about 55 spaces, which would allow for 7 single-car garages along the rear hammerhead of the development. Right now, either plan that I show you, and I'll get to the second one in a minute, but both designs have 24 units in total. We are looking for the same variance on either plan, the severity of which changes depending on which one we go with. And it's a side setback requirement. Okay, so we meet all other requirements given its current zoning. However, I guess the awkward layout of this site doesn't really allow us to equally develop on both sides of what we would consider a main driveway. So we do run into, on the east side of the property, a side yard setback of less than the desired 40 feet. At its worst, we are showing this at 16 feet. Okay. There's 2 designs here, like I said. One design is a three buildings with 8 units in each. The other one would be 4 buildings with 6 units in each plan. One of the Lancaster building codes that we looked up, which is what we're presenting here, is after we get a certain length of the building code does dictate that we break that elevation. I believe a lot of that's just based on urban design and planning. You don't want one very long building. What we are asking, though, is that we could request a variance to line these buildings up. It just makes construction that, a little bit more expensive. And I believe, again, the intentions of this requirement were when these buildings faced, a main street and it was your actual elevation. These buildings will actually be built south, north-south facing, not necessarily on an existing road. So that is one jog here in the architecture plan. We are looking to, straighten up those buildings. And what we'd also like to do is 3 buildings instead of 4. Again, lower cost, better economies of scale. And really what this does is this brings the whole development closer to Broadway. And we'd like to maintain as much room between here and the creek as possible. A lot of the design and the intent here is that the neighbors also have more of a park-like setting. So we did want to maintain some of that space in the back for some green space and then, some community outlet. Now, because we are looking for a side setback variance, okay, one thing that's important to make sure of is if we change this elevation to match, that side setback actually goes down to as little as 5 feet. Okay, now what's important to note is the neighboring property directly to the east is 220 feet away from the back corner of that house to the front corner of this house. Okay. Again, the intended use is to bring in some, higher level tenants given the rental rates that we're looking for. It's ultimately a decision before we make a final application for site plan. We wanted to receive some feedback from you guys on any concept that you would prefer, or if you see anything originally with this concept plan now that we're not anticipating.
Would you have, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, why would you not flip the building at the bottom up to there?
And turn this around?
Yep, turn that there. Because now, yep, but do you see what I'm saying? Where, I'll show you.
Yep, yeah, come on up.
Where's your laser point?
So I know that we'll bring that where the garage would be.
Because we do need to maintain a hammerhead turnaround, and if we move this up too far, we can't fit 2 buildings up there.
Because then you're not gonna run into 16 feet.
So-
Even with the 5, you're still butting up against the other property.
Correct.
Which then that person's gonna say, are they gonna be using our land for planting?
Yes. Now, we did want to maintain that hammerhead as the last piece of the subdivision. We are trying to move this up as close to Broadway as we can because there's also a grade drop as we get further from Broadway. So actually, these units here actually might even require a pump. So going any further back just wasn't feasible.
Have you talked to the neighbors at all?
Yes, so the owner has talked to the neighbors, all of them actually. This house is actually owned by an out-of-town owner. I believe he has a relative that's currently staying there. And we also spoke with all properties that you see on this site plan. I don't believe, again, from our feedback, that there'd be any opposition. It's of course going to require a public hearing, and we'd love to hear anyone's input. But to date, it seems like a very positive and well-received project.
Is there any landscaping that you could possibly do along that, the east side of the property?
Absolutely. Again, like I said, the current owner does like to invest in his property. This is something that he's going to hold for a long time. He made sure that was part of our proposal here, is that obviously not only in front of the buildings will we have landscaping, but entering the community, he does have the vision for some nice berms and some landscaping on either side, also to then shelter the traffic on Broadway for his own residents inside the community. So yes, he'd be adding different trees and definitely
Just on
landscaping.
like I said, well, especially on the east and western side, if you're on the west side, the backyards.
So, question, the 9 acres that approximately will not be used, where
Yes.
is that? On the east?
So it's not actually shown here, it's actually to the north, okay? The property extends like this pie shape here, and it also goes just about to the backyards of Rose Court, which comes off of Steinfeld. So it's quite a ways back there.
And what is he just gonna leave that? What is he thinking of doing with that in the future?
Unfortunately, you can't do anything with it. I do have a GIS map here. A lot of it is wetlands.
Okay.
And again, it would require us to cross Plum Bottom Creek, which we have no intention of doing so. Yep,
Can I make a recommendation?
of course.
I can't read any of this.
I know, that's why, that's why we try to blow it up, yeah.
Okay, can you send us a digital copy?
Absolutely.
Something that we can blow up and actually see what it says here.
Absolutely. I'll send you these two. These download a lot better.
Okay.
This all come over as PDF.
It wasn't just me, he couldn't see it either.
Why do you
Much
think I
younger.
went up there?
Yeah, right. I mean, to get feedback though, I mean, any issues with the intended use, I guess, again, we will be back really just looking at a side yard setback requirement. It's a variance that we understand we're going to need. Again, it's just a matter of getting this developed for the right price. We're trying to save where we can. And having this extra change in elevation, it does add,
Dumpster situation, please.
Yep, so again, this is just a proposed number of garages in the back. Obviously, garbage would be a private contract that he'll maintain himself, and it'd be located in the back of the development.
And you were saying that the building, get my directions here, to the building by itself.
Yes, this is on the
West-
east
east
side.
side.
Yep,
If you pull the building up flush with the square next to it, then your setback is only 5 feet?
only 5 feet.
5 feet variance.
Ultimately, we'd be pulling this one down.
Oh, you're pulling that one
Next
down,
year.
I got you, I'm sorry.
And that's what gets us to that,
Okay.
that more restricted side setback. However, too, even if we got 2 out of 3, that also helps. Obviously, I want to build the same plan, makes our jobs a lot easier. But if it's a deal killer, we are conscious that, this is a little bit tight. We do have a cluster mailbox up here as well, which I forgot to mention, also your water meters. So that will also be landscaped too.
Okay, so you'd be good at 2 out of 3 buildings there instead of
Correct.
that other one? Okay.
Correct. Yeah, these are simply shown this way because it's an architectural request from, part of your new code. But as you can see, the, rendering up front doesn't really allow for that. It would make it kind of hard to figure out where do we push that back. Everything here is also privately maintained, both landscaping and plowing.
Is there a setback on the west side?
There is, that's the front yard setback, which we meet. So directly coming off Broadway, that's not a problem. We meet that requirement from that back corner of the first building. And that's from the right of way too, so it does give it a little bit more room that's, missing here.
Anybody else?
Not at this time. With the variances that you're asking for, I mean, I'd really like to take some time on this one before, making any kind of decision.
Oh, absolutely. And I can send this to you, like I said, in
Okay.
PDF, so you can blow that up.
Can you be sure I'm included with that? I'd like to give it a review, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any kind of preliminary architecture too, I can share with that as well. Again, you can kind of figure out the rhythm of these buildings too.
They're all gonna be two-bedroom?
Yep, all two-bedroom,
2.5 bath.
two-story, no garages. Again, unless this is something that we're able to go with, and then there'll be separate garages. There's not one for each unit. It would be based on demand.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing that PDF.
You got it.
Even with his cooking skills. Yeah. It's okay. All right. I don't know, do we have any department heads or committee reports that we want to go over before the resolutions? We have anything from Matt?
Sure. I submitted the MS4 report, of course, for January, and I had requested the Drainage Committee consider reconvening for the year. Even if it's at 60-day intervals, it's going to be something, at least so we can have a discussion between the departments, game planning for the town-owned facilities, and how we're going to manage these private-owned facilities as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on the report for January.
Okay. Do we have enough notice to reconvene for the first meeting in February? Will that give us enough?
March or
This is the first meeting.
Or, I mean, March, rather, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that'll be fine.
Okay, is that good with everybody, reconvening the
Start
Drainage
picking
Committee next month, the March meeting?
Sure.
First week?
Sounds good.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
Okay.
And send us all a reminder.
I'll send you a reminder. Anything from Ed?
Yeah, just quick updates on some of the projects. The senior center grant work design is underway. That expect to be maybe able to go out to bid this late spring. Just got an email today from the historical building architect. I haven't got through it yet, so he's making progress. I also got an email from the Opera House manager, administrator, I forget what his title is.
Dave.
Dave, thank you. Looking for a status on the county grants, and I haven't responded to him yet. I don't know if we've gotten any feedback where.
We have Frank Dodaro in the audience tonight. Frank,
Okay.
do you have anything on that?
Did you want to answer?
Yeah. HVAC up there in the Opera House?
Please, so
Please.
that they can hear you.
Welcome, Mr. Legislator.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? So when it comes to the funds for that grant, I know that it has already been passed, and I think it's a matter of maybe 2 to 3 weeks that we should see those funds sent to you.
Great.
From what I was told from the comptroller's office. Okay? So I'll keep on that, and I'll email you and let you guys know.
Great,
All
appreciate
right?
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, because the only thing we need to get going is the contracts to be able to start spending money.
Okay.
The police building flooring pretty much is ongoing, I assume, Michelle, right?
Yes, the police building flooring, the whole top is already complete.
Good.
We're probably halfway through the bottom. We just basically have some more hallways, little offices, and the dispatch area.
Good.
I have to say, on behalf of that team that's doing that work over there, they're phenomenal people.
Be able to work out sketch.
They're moving quickly and causing as little bit of chaos to the police department as possible.
Great.
Police cameras, just waiting on the agreement.
Still waiting on Chuck, I'm sorry.
That's okay. The impound area fencing is done,
Correct.
so we're closing that project out. And library elevator that is on tonight suspended.
Yes, it and we're waiting for that resolution's approval. With that resolution's approval, it will then start on Wednesday of this week. Upon approval of the electric, they are anticipating 2 to 3 weeks for completion where the elevator will be down. But we'll just have to get it out to the public as soon as possible due to it being so quickly here to get it complete before it really gets busy.
The Siebert Road culvert, well, I think you all know the road's closed right now, and we did reach out to DOT regarding the grant we had submitted for. What they've told us is that they expect to have awards announced March 1st, and if they hold, which is fast, and if they hold to that, because it's 100% state funded, the town can expend funds the minute they receive the award letter. They don't have to wait for a contract, which is, could be a 2, 3, 4 month gain in time. And if that's the case, if we get the grant, we can start, then obviously we can get that culvert designed and ready for construction this summer. But to run parallel with that, we're also putting it in the capital plan, because those bond resolutions usually aren't passed until late March, typically. And the hope is that we'll put it in, we get the grant, and we'll yank it out of the bond resolution. But we want it in the bond resolution so we didn't not be able to fix the culvert. Push comes to shove. The estimate's about $600,000 to $700,000. And then the last piece, just as a piece of information, what we're being told is Pavement Road is supposed to be mill and overlaid this year. I'm assuming it's from the entire stretch, my guess. They were supposed to do it last year and got delayed, so. That's it.
All right, that's it. Michelle, did you have anything else with highway or parks?
I think I've covered most of it. As far as the parks, the 2 scoreboards did go up. Highway did shore the poles, are in the process of shoring the poles for Opperman, with the hope to hang that last scoreboard in approximately 10 days once concrete and everything is done. So that is all in place. The building rental is open this morning for summer rentals. Little hiccup with the active net, but it is up and running and everything's good there.
Thank you very much.
And the
Chief?
Youth Bureau building, do we want to talk about that
Youth
now?
Bureau building, yes. We are in the process still of waiting. Hopefully the air quality control will be back tomorrow. It was not today from my understanding. I did reach out to the HVAC company that is ready to roll once the building is cleared for their mold remediation. We also met with Mr. Fowler in regards to some of the bids which we are working on, and if to get it going once we have the bids, if we could have the town board's approval to proceed in an emergency situation before the next board meeting, not to hold it up for a month after Tom approves that we meet the procurement. If we could get some kind of verbal to keep that going, that would be great.
Do you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that, as long as we discussed procurement and what the levels and what the rules were, and I actually spoke, that's what I was called you before on, so they've got a game plan. Part of it was emergency, which was the mold, and everything else is either state contract or bid.
Okay. So we'll hear about it when it comes in and be able to respond via email.
I can send you an email with like the lowest bidder and the information as we put it together and move forward. Obviously, first is to get this mold done, then it's going to be the heat, the HVAC system, then it'll be into the drywall part, and we'll try to keep it moving.
Legislator Tadaro, who brought us in $27,000 to fix the door in there. Obviously, all the rest of this will have to be completed first, but thank you, sir.
Well, I see, John, do you have anything else with the Youth Bureau since we're on that before we're with the chief?
No, I think she did cover everything. Things, hopefully, she said the report will be coming first thing tomorrow. Things, once that's taken care of, obviously with the ceiling tiles, the floor, painting. The office wing really needs to be taken care of first because all of the furniture from the office wing is sitting in the main room. And so as soon as the office wing can be put back, you know, the walls, the floors, the ceiling, the carpeting, then the furniture can be brought back in because our desks are literally attached to the walls. So that will be important to get the furniture back into the offices as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you. Chief?
Sure, just a couple of things. As I mentioned to the board via email, within the last few weeks, we've received $200,000 federal grant and also a $96,000 state grant for body camera purchase. So we're going to move ahead with that. Hopefully we'll have them up and going by the summer. Also, I want to comment, there was an accident this morning involving a chief water officer. We believe that was at least one of the vehicles involved was stolen from Lancaster. So again, we're reminding our residents to please lock their vehicles, take their keys, take their key fobs. It's very preventable what's going on. We're getting these groups coming out from the city in different areas. They're checking driveways, checking cars, and you know, if your vehicle is open or your keys are in, they're taken. So just trying to get the word out about that. Obviously, prayers to the chief law officer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For clarification, the $200,500 came from the federal government. It was coordinated through Congressman Jacobs' office from the Department of Justice, and now will be looked after under Congressman Langworthy's office. So thanks to our friends in the federal government. The money from the state, how did we get that, Chief? Was that coordinated through you or one of our, I believe?
That was a grant done through the Department of Criminal Justice Services, looking to give the departments that don't have body cameras yet. So it was basically $2,000 per officer. So we have 48 cameras, so it'll be $96,000.
Great, thank you.
All right. Any other board members have anything before we move on to the resolutions?
Yeah, real quickly, also from the federal government, we got $375,000 for the senior center, so they're going to be able to fix the siding on the building, the roof on the building, and the flooring, which unfortunately is cracking up and very dangerous for our seniors. So again, same thing as before, coordinated through Congressman Jacobs' office before he left, now being coordinated through Congressman Langworthy's office. So we'll be fixing up the senior center pretty well.
All right, we have 17 pre-filed and one suspended resolution. The first one is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. The second one is the audited claims. Number 3 is Councilman Mazer.
3 is the building permit applications being reaffirmed.
Number 4 is canceling the second board meeting in February due to several people being out of town for the Association of Towns meeting. Number 5 is authorizing the additional hydrant rental charges with Erie County Water Authority. Number 6 is amending the resolution from January 3rd for Andrea Craig's salary as the Secretary and Records Officer of LIDA. Number 8 is amending the resolution from January 3rd to amend Donna Martin as the LIDA for pilot billing. Number 8 is to appoint Gloria Cuerda, part-time permanent at the Town Attorney's Office. Did I pronounce that right? You did. Thank you. Number 9, 10, and 11 are Councilman Mazer.
Yes, it's to approve 2 Portalite pitching mounds for the Pitching Machine League for the Parks and Recreation. Number 10 is to approve extending terms of agreement with our school resource officers. Number 11 is to set a public hearing for special use permit for Pan Pizza Company in the Ream Road Plaza.
Number 12 is to approve the employment agreement between Town of Lancaster and Captain Ziders and Captain Gummel. And 13
is to also to have set a public hearing for special use permit for Margarita's Mexican Restaurant at 4725 Transit Road.
14, Councilman Leary.
14 is just the rate of pay for all part-time permanent clerks from $18.05 to $20 an hour.
Number 15 is to appoint Richard Lewis as a court officer, part-time provisional. Number 16 is to appoint Donald Pianessa Sr. as a dog control officer, part-time permanent, and 17 is Councilman Leary.
That's going to be to memorialize our thoughts, our opposition to the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which will be sent to the governor's office and to the New York State Legislature.
And I believe the suspended resolution is also Councilman Leary's.
The suspended resolution is what we were talking about previously, which deals with the library. We were able to get some bids that came in after our last meeting, and we'd like to get that service done because we don't have another meeting until next month. We were able to talk down the contractors to about $14,300 from $25,000, so we're pretty happy about that, and that's what we're going to try to do, move that forward tonight. So the work from the start.
All right. If nobody has anything else, we'll take about a 6-minute intermission. We'll reconvene at 7 for the regular meeting.
And the live streaming will continue.
Yeah, don't forget. Big Brother's watching.
That's right.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Now that you, send me an email, give me some dates.
We've got, we've asked them for the list, and they're like,
Here's the thing, or is it just a private thing?
Chief, how are you?
Yeah. One of them. Executive session. Great.
that plus can you get it?
So,
That's cool.
we'd like to see test results so that the fire department will know where those cameras are, if there are deficiencies, and that we know that.
I'll last. We asked last year, we asked about this. Well, we have a town payment. We can't stop it. We asked for a year. Yeah.
This information gets passed on.
I don't think they get it at all.
You should have knowledge of it, if there are efficient units, so they can formulate a secondary attack. They've got
The hydrant we just replaced out there.
That's our justice system.
Thank you. We went out with that one. We added it on the irrigation water job. We had the contractor right out of the place. It was easy. And we had a deal.
Just all this, just all this.
It was one of the two items I wanted to ask you this morning.
I'll see if Jim can get it. Well,
Somebody's got to go to jail and somebody's got to stay in jail.
like I said, while driving around town, rarely do I see an which is fine. But the drain, make sure it drains, make sure the hydrant works.
Ask you a question.
That would be nice.
You know what? Get the legal size down.
Yeah. Everybody.
Actually, tomorrow, we'll find out if I need a new prescription. Hopefully not.
Say we got the mold report next door, and we got
The what?
Those are simple.
Yeah, change your name today.
Oh, did you? How's she doing? Welcome. Oh, how's your mother doing?
They don't sell the car.
Yeah.
They're just, it's this game, they steal the car, they drive around, and they get chased, and it's fun.
Putting a lot of
They get
things
a
on
ticket, they
Facebook.
get a ticket,
They get a ticket, they
get
go
out
and
of
they
jail.
get on the jail.
Here, they're gonna do payment.
Close.
They're overwhelmed, so they just let it go.
I did, I'm waiting for a call back from Eric.
Yeah, whatever.
What I thought too was on the same.
It's on the same circuit as the patio rooms. At their request.
That's what's gonna happen. So I'm holding on to all that. Sooner or later, someone's quick. It's scary, because they don't want it.
Yeah, I know. When you go in the second avian,
No, I mean,
patio rooms,
they're gonna run into the wrong guy, or the wrong guy's gonna.
there's one light on avian. Brilliant.
It's bad. It's bad.
Part of the lighting.
Mr. Nosbush, how are you, sir?
We're doing the lighting for avian. Eric said, well, can we hook that one in the patio room?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell Cameron about that.
That's the
Yeah.
issue. I was like, oh, it's not our light, it's down light. Oh, it isn't. You asked for it to be on that circuit. It was nice, they looked at it, it's like, not the town.
Warm in here today, isn't it? Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, number 17. Yeah. That's fine. I should be put on.
And the fact that it's trying to get a private electrical service, that's
On the
the
question. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And can we start with the roll call from the Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Here.
Councilmember Dickman.
Here.
Councilmember Leary.
Here.
Councilmember Mazer.
Here.
Supervisor Rufino.
Supervisor Rufino has to be excused. And we have the pledge and the invocation from Councilmember Mark Burkhart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work, help us to work together, and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and farther to be the best we can be. Amen.
Amen. Tonight, we're going to close our meeting in memory of a few different people here. The first one is Gerald J. Rufino, brother of our supervisor, who passed away earlier in the week. Kathleen Morrissey, Terry Wakowiak, who was a longtime clerk for the Village of Depew, Elliot J. Repka, and Francis Braun. And also to reiterate on what the chief said earlier, please keep the Cheektowaga Police Department and their officer, Black Chief, in your thoughts and prayers as he sustained an injury at a police chase last night from a stolen vehicle. All right. We'd like to welcome Legislator Frank Todaro to the meeting. And this is the part where if anybody has any questions on any of the pre-filed resolutions, we ask that you could please come up to the microphone, speak your name and your address. I'll ask for a second time if anybody has anything on the pre-filed resolutions. And a third time. Tonight we have 17 pre-filed resolutions, 1 suspended, 0 public hearings, and we also have an executive session under personnel. Do we have any official reports?
No.
Yes, sir. I just want to report, we covered it in the work session, but let the people who don't tune in till 7 o'clock know that we received $375,000 from the federal government for the senior center, so they'll be able to fix the siding, the floors, and the roof. And we brought in another $200,500 from the Department of Justice for body cams for the police department. And also the state awarded us, was it $96,000 or $96,000 also for body cams, so.
Anything else? All right, I guess we'll move on to our resolutions. Resolution 1. Resolved that the meetings of the regular meeting of the town board held January 7th, 2023 be and are hereby approved. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Resolution number 2, resolved that the following audited claims be and are hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the supervisor's office, and that's check run 02062023. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid is $1,425,029.90. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Number 3, Councilmember Mazer.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications be and hereby reaffirmed. There were a total of 41 building permits, 33 in the town, 8 in the village. Now therefore it be resolved that the building permit applications here encoded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver be and hereby reaffirmed with a waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster at any future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
Can we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
I have 4 through 8 here. So number 4, whereas the town of Lancaster town board meetings are held the first and third Monday of each month. Whereas February 20th, 2023 meeting was rescheduled to February 21st, 2023 to accommodate the President's Day observance. And whereas a number of town officials will be in attendance at the New York State Association of Towns annual meeting in New York City during a period that includes February 21st. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby cancels the meeting currently scheduled for February 21st, 2023, and be it further resolved that the town clerk of the town of Lancaster shall take all necessary actions to provide proper and timely public notice. Can I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Number 5, whereas the Erie County Water Authority bills the town of Lancaster for fire hydrants to which water service is supplied, and whereas the number of hydrants has increased from 1,236 to 1,237, and whereas the annual billing for services provided by Erie County Water Authority has increased from $16,562.40 to $16,575.80. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster agrees to commit to pay Erie County Water Authority's annual fire hydrant maintenance fee for 1,237 hydrants at the annual billing rate of $16,575.80. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Number 6, whereas by resolution of the town of Lancaster dated January 3rd, 2023, Andrea Craig was listed as the secretary to the Lancaster Industrial Development Agency with an annual salary of $7,500. And whereas the LIDA and the town of Lancaster are separate entities, and therefore neither entity has the authority to set salaries for others' employees. And whereas by resolution dated January 13th, 2023, the LIDA set the annual salary for its administrative secretary and records management officer at $8,000. And whereas LIDA will reimburse the town for the salary to be paid for Andrea Craig for this position. Now therefore be it resolved that the January 3rd, 2023 resolution is hereby amended to accurately reflect Andrea Craig's compensation as the secretary to LIDA with an annual salary of $8,000 to be made effective retroactively to January 1st, 2023, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. Can I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Resolution number 7, whereas by resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster, January 3rd, 2023, Donna Martin was listed as Lancaster Industrial Development Agency pilot billing with an annual salary of $2,500. Now, whereas LIDA and the Town of Lancaster are separate entities and therefore neither entity has the authority to set salaries for others' employees, and whereas by resolution dated January 13th, 2023, LIDA set the annual salary for its coordinator of billing and collection of all LIDA pilots at $3,000. And whereas LIDA will reimburse the town for the salary to be paid to Donna Martin for this position. Now therefore be it resolved that the January 3rd, 2023 resolution is hereby amended to accurately reflect Donna Martin's compensation as the coordinator of billing and collection of all LIDA pilots with an annual salary of $3,000 to be made effective retroactively at January 1st, 2023, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. Can I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Resolution number 8. Whereas Thomas E. Fowler Jr., Town Attorney for the Town of Lancaster, has recommended the appointment of the following individual to the following part-time permanent position. Now therefore be it resolved that the following individual is hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position in the Town of Lancaster Attorney's Office, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, and that this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacation, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time permanent employees. And this employee will be Gloria Huerta of Cheektowaga, New York, clerk part-time, $20 per hour, effective January 19th, 2023. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary actions to implement the foregoing. Can I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Resolutions 9, 10, and 11, Councilmember Mazur.
Yes. Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas by letters dated January 19th, 2023 and January 20th, 2023, Michelle Barbaro, the Town of Lancaster Deputy Highway Superintendent, has requested the Town Board approve expenditures for the purchase of 2 Portalite 8-feet full-length pitching mounds, for which she has obtained 3 quotes, and whereas by letters dated January 19th, 2023 and January 20th, 2023, Michelle Barbaro has recommended that the Town of Lancaster authorize said purchase from the provider of the lowest quote, pitching machine sale in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, in the amount not to exceed $6,400 per its quoted date, January 17th, 2023. And whereas this project will be paid for with funds from the town's 2023 recreation filing fees budget line item 37-700260. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the expenditure of funds as requested by Deputy Highway Superintendent Michelle Barbaro to pitching machine sale, P.O. Box 372, Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, 19348, in the amount not to exceed $6,400 per its quote dated January 17, 2023, to be paid for funds, allocated to the town's 2023 recreation filing fees budget, line item 37-7000-260.
Can we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes. Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution before its adoption. Whereas the Town of Lancaster and the Lancaster Central School District have previously entered into an agreement with extensions for the placement of police officers as school resource officers within the district, and whereas the town and the district both wish to extend the current agreement set to expire on or about August 31st, 2023, and whereas pursuant to a letter from Police Chief William Karn dated January 17th, 2023, execution of this agreement and continuation of this ongoing relationship is requested and recommended. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves extending the terms of the agreement with the district, subject to all terms and conditions of an agreement as presented effective September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2026, with the ability to extend or terminate pursuant to the terms described therein. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute the agreement as presented.
Can we have a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes. Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board offer the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas Billa Incorporated by Peter Ead, doing business as Pan Pizza Company, as designee for Ream Transit Associates, owner of 0 Ream Road, Lancaster, New York, has submitted an application for a special use permit to operate a restaurant on the premises located at 0 Ream Road in the town of Lancaster, New York, in accordance with provisions of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 18B1A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. And whereas Section 400-78 of the zoning chapter of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires that the town board conduct a public hearing before the issuance of special use permit for a use as proposed. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 400-zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 78, Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, public hearing on the proposed special use permit for Billa Incorporated as designee for Ream Transit Associates, owner of 0 Ream Road, Lancaster, New York, to operate a restaurant on said premises will be held at Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on the 6th day of March 2023 at 7:05 p.m. local time, and that the notice of this time and place of such hearing be published in the Lancaster Bee, a newspaper of general circulation in the town, and be posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be in form attached hereto and made part hereof.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? I don't know who's going to get that.
He won.
All right. On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Resolution number 12. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the employment agreements with Captain Jonathan Zeiders effective January 1st, 2023, and Captain William Gummo effective January 21st, 2023, as presented. And be it further resolved that Captain Zeiders and Gummo shall be entitled to pay as described in the respective agreements retroactive to the effective dates of their appointments. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute the agreement as presented. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Number 13, Councilmember Mazer.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution before its adoption. Whereas Jose Castaneda, doing business as Margarita's Mexican Restaurant, as designee for 327-42 4th Stream LLC, owner of 4725 Transit Road, Depew, New York, Town of Lancaster, has submitted an application for a special use permit to operate a restaurant with outdoor dining on the premises located at 4725 Transit Road, Depew, Town of Lancaster, New York, in accordance with provisions of Chapter 400-zoning, Section 18B1A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and whereas Section 400-78 of the zoning chapter of the Town of Code of the Town of Lancaster requires that the town board conduct a public hearing before the issuance of special use permit for the use as proposed. Now therefore it be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 400-zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 78, Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, a public hearing on the proposed special use permit for Jose Castaneda, doing business as Margarita's Mexican Restaurant, as designee for 327-42 Forest Stream LLC, owner of the 4725 Transit Road, Depew, Town of Lancaster, New York, to operate a restaurant with outdoor dining on said premises will be held at the Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, New York, Lancaster, New York, on the 6th day of March 2023 at 7:05 PM local time, and that the notice of the time and place of such hearing be published in the Lancaster Bee, newspaper of general circulation in the town, and be posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made a part hereof.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Anything on the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Number 14, Councilmember Leary.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Town Board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in order to make all part-time clerks' pay rate the same per hour, these being part-time positions that provide no health insurance or sick days, no vacations or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time permanent employees, the rate is as follows. Part-time clerk, $20. Effective date is January 19th, 2023. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Anything on the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Resolution 15, whereas Anthony J. Servey, Town Justice for the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated January 31st, 2023, has recommended the appointment of the following individual to the position of Court Officer, part-time provisional in the Town Justice Court Department of the Town of Lancaster. And whereas the following individual qualifies for appointment to this position pursuant to the standards and procedures set forth in civil service law. Now therefore be it resolved that the following individual is hereby appointed to position of court officer, part-time provisional in the Town Justice Court Department in the Town of Lancaster, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. And this is Richard Lewis of Lancaster, New York, again, position court officer for $19.10 an hour, effective February 6, 2023. And be it further resolved that when Richard Lewis is called upon to serve as court officer, he shall receive a minimum of 3 hours pay for the actual number of hours worked, whichever is greater. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. Can I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Resolution 16, whereas Gene Carn, Lancaster Dog Control Officer for the Town of Lancaster, by letter received January 26, 2023, has recommended the appointment of the following individual to the following part-time permanent position. Now therefore be it resolved that the following individual is hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position in the Town of Lancaster Dog Control Office, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, and that this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time permanent employees. And this is Donald Pianessa Sr., Lancaster, New York, to the position, again, of Dog Control Officer at $16.22 an hour, effective February 13, 2023. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster should be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Number 17, Councilman Leary.
Yes, sir. Honorable Town Board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Whereas Governor Hochul supports the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which aims to generate 70% of the state's electricity from renewable sources by 2030 and 100% zero-emission electricity by 2040. And whereas it is commonly recognized that such an urgent timetable to accommodate the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act will severely test and challenge the financial stability of every Lancaster, New York household. And whereas it is widely held that the existing power grid serving Lancaster, New York will become overburdened and unable to absorb the increased demand that will necessarily attend the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. And whereas specifically noting the long-term power losses attending the ice storm of March 2nd and 3rd, 1976, the blizzard of 1977, the October surprise storm of 2006, the November 24th storm, Snowvember, and more recently, the December 23rd to 25th, 2022 blizzard. The geographical area of Lancaster, New York, historically has been gravely impacted by such severe weather and contemporaneously required reliable alternative sources of energy. And whereas the provisions of Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act will drastically reduce such alternative sources, and whereas is the very strong position and opinion of the town of Lancaster's emergency medical services, fire department, and police department that such energy limitations in times of weather or other civil emergency will overwhelm their collective capabilities and therefore will pose a very substantial threat to the lives and safety of each and every resident of the town of Lancaster. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by the virtue of the foregoing, the town board of the town of Lancaster expresses to Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature its very strong opposition to the enactment of the Climate Leadership and the Community Protection Act.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Anything on the question?
I would like to explain the resolution that I just had moved here. And basically, the first thing I want to say is this is not a political resolution. This is not Democrat against Republican. This resolution, I'm putting it forth mainly for two separate issues. The first part of it was the police chief approached me several weeks ago, and we talked about the rescues that had to be completed here in the town of Lancaster. And there were quite a few rescues that had to be done. They were only able to be accomplished with help of the highway department and our officers out there risking their lives, along with the fire department and maybe a few of our citizens. But he thought it was the dangers of switching over to just one form of energy, that being electricity, might have a great impact in the future. If we do that and the electricity goes out, you may lose all power throughout the town, and the amount of rescues that would have to be completed might overwhelm the capacity of our police department and our first responders. And Chief Karn, if you don't mind, if I could call upon you to expand upon that, if there's anything else you'd care to say about that.
I think you covered pretty much everything, but we did have several situations where officers had rescued people trapped in their cars because they didn't have heat. I imagine if you get houses without heat, that same thing is going to happen. They're going to have to go to these houses and rescue maybe elderly people or people with medical issues and try to get them to somewhere where there is warmth, where there is heat. So it endangers everybody's lives. I think something like this forward this time.
Thank you, sir. The second issue that came up was basically the cost. What is this going to cost the people in the town of Lancaster? Many experts estimate that switching from natural gas over to electrical will cost anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000. That's a cost that not many of the people in the town of Lancaster can bear. The other part of that is in learning from our state legislators and our county legislators, there is the great possibility that our energy grid cannot handle switching over from natural gas to electricity. So therefore, what's this going to cost us? Is it going to be even feasible to do it, which is highly unlikely? And what we're doing right now is we're getting a lot of our energy from out of state. Now, there's not going to be the same restrictions on the energy that's out of state. And where that's coming from is probably plants that are burning coal right now. So what we're doing is just trying to look good for whatever reason, there is. I mean, we can't solve the world problems at this point, and the burden shouldn't be only on the residents of the state of New York, nor the residents in the town of Lancaster. So again, this was not a Republican versus Democrat type of thing. This is born out of the concern that we have for our residents right here in the town of Lancaster. Thank you.
And another thing that goes with this is the next step to this is looking into banning people from having wood-burning stoves or anything like that in their houses because they're claiming that also pollutes the environment. So, a lot of people already have trouble affording their gas bills as it is, and they heat their houses with wood-burning stoves or pellets or whatever, now when the electricity would go out, if you're depending on electricity, you have no way at all to heat your house. It's just going to be a huge problem, and it's not the best interest for the residents in Lancaster. So, I think we had a second, right?
Yes.
All right, on the rolls.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Thank you. I guess now we have a suspended resolution, so we're going to need a request to suspend the necessary rules.
Councilman Dickman, I'm requesting the suspension of the necessary rules for immediate consideration of the following resolution.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Everybody?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Rules are suspended. Please go ahead.
Honorable Town Board members, I move the following suspended resolution for adoption. Whereas by letter dated January 30th, 2023, Michelle Barbaro, the Town of Lancaster Deputy Highway Superintendent, has requested the Town Board approve expenditures for the permitting, inspections, testing, and certification for new upgrades to the library elevator system, for which she has obtained 2 quotes. And whereas by letter dated January 30th, 2023, Michelle Barbaro has recommended that the town authorize granting the project to Electric Service and Installation Incorporated, located at 35 Lee Street, Buffalo, New York, in an amount not to exceed $14,300. And whereas this project will be paid for with funds from the town's 2023 library budget, line item 01-7410-0260, other capital outlay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board, the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the expenditure of funds as requested by Deputy Highway Superintendent Michelle Barbaro to Electric Service and Installation Incorporated, Lee Street, Buffalo, New York, in an amount not to exceed $14,300.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
We're going to move on to the communications. All right, 64 through 67 are received and filed. 68 is, sorry.
Okay.
68 is Parks Department. 69 is resolution tonight. 70 is Planning Board, Zoning Board. 71 through 75 received and filed. 76 through 78, resolution tonight. '79 through 84, received and filed. '85 and '86 are for resolution. '87 through '89, received and filed. 90 and 91 are for resolution. '92 received and filed. 93 is for resolution. 94 to 96 received and filed. 97 and 98, resolution tonight. 99 received and filed. 100 for resolution. 101 received and filed. 102 and 103 for resolution. 104 all the way down to 110 received and filed. And the last two, 111 and 112, those are received and filed. This brings us to the portion of the meeting where anybody is welcome to come up to the microphone and address the town board for any matters. We just ask that you state your name and address so our town clerk can record it. Is there anybody that wants to come up and address the town board on any matters? Mr. Legislator, I don't know.
All right, please. Thank you, legislator.
Yes, sir.
Erie County Legislator Frank J. Tadaro, 188 Ransom Road in the beautiful town of Lancaster, New York, is where I reside. I stand before this honorable board, this council, and commend you on your resolution number 17 today on the natural gas ban. That's imperative. It's something that my office is consistently getting phone calls and letters and emails. That's how important it is that I wanted to be sure I'm standing here before you and thank you that you're voicing what your constituents really want, is to remove this natural gas ban nonsense. With that said, there's a lot of issues on that. Number one is safety. You talked to Chief Karn here in the public about why it's so important, and he gave us a little taste of what he was going through with his officers out in the blizzard conditions. 4.5 days, the city of Buffalo had no power. I own a lot of apartments, and a lot of my tenants, I can tell you firsthand, without electric, thank God we had gas stoves that they can live. Nobody can get to them. I couldn't get down there to help them. So that's why it's so important to have that second lifeline. We are so I got to say that the state legislatures downstate are very disconnected to our weather patterns that we have here. We literally get snow, feet of snow, a few feet of snow within a couple hours. Overnight we can wake up to 5 feet. It happens. How is that supposed to happen here? And I really, again, thank all of you for your support on that. Other issues that I want to touch on, I'm not going to take too much time up here, is there's hundreds of jobs that National Fuel is right here in Williamsville, New York, of all places. New York has been so anti, let's say, business that now you want to remove natural gas. There goes all the jobs right here in Williamsville. Gone, just like that, snap of the finger. So we need to make sure that downstate New York understands that it's not going to be tolerated here in Lancaster. And there's other towns in my district that I honorably represent that are also going to be putting this on their agenda this week. I think we have Councilman Michael Jasinski here from Cheektowaga here. He's paying attention, and he's also, they're going to be also debating that this week on their floor. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all your support on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Nosbish?
Would you mind if I please speak?
Not at all.
Thank you, sir.
If you'd like,
Really appreciate it.
could have moved that over for you.
At my age.
I would like to piggyback on what the legislature and you as council. You really think about this one. The grid can't handle it now. We all know that. And people gotta understand, without gas, all of a sudden, electric, it goes off. What are they gonna do at their homes and in their businesses when the water pipes start breaking? What are the businesses gonna do when the sprinkler systems start blowing? The $1 million damages that these businesses and homeowners will incur with this type of damages would be insane. And then I look at the fire departments in the area, all in West New York, and the police departments, all in the area. They all have, if I'm correct, especially the fire departments, I know the police department, they all have generators. What is the Governor Hochul going to do when those are ran on gas? Tell them, that's this governor in Albany, wow. Talk about misplaced common sense, really. Common sense not being used is, and I know I live in the village, and I live right down by Erie Street's, the substation there, and I never have seen them updated. And I also know last week, my son and daughter-in-law live in the south side of the town, and they lost power. I never lost power, but they did. It's like there's a failure with this whole power grid station that's even on Erie Street. That's all I need to say on that point. Thank you. I have two matters to communicate to the town board today. And the first one will be regarding the independent contracting of the chief financial officer, accountant, and payroll positions. I looked up at the New York State, with independent contractors. I want you all to understand this, because I lived in a business that did this independent contracting, and it didn't do the business any good. It states, you may generally believe that you have hired people to perform services for you as independent contractors. You may discover that by law they are considered employees and that you are liable for unemployment insurance contributions and interest. Whether the relationship is one of employer/employee will depend on several factors. These include how much supervision, direction, and control you have over the services. When I look at the word control, they will have, of course, as their positions will have the town of Lancaster employees, their social security numbers and home addresses, et cetera, and being that was never stated by both these companies that communicated about they never communicated about their security systems controlling personal data. I listened to that live video a couple times, and I focus on language and what's being presented to Lancaster and the town council. And then the nature of the services performed is also key to deciding if a worker is an employee or an independent contractor. The courts have also found that workers may be employees and that an employment relationship may exist if the employer controls important aspects of the services performed other than results and means. The independent contractor relationship. Independent contractors are free from supervision, direction, and control in the performance of their duties. They are businesses for themselves, offering their services to the general public. Then remember that the real distinction between the employer-employee relationship and the independent contractor relationship depends primarily on the level of supervision, direction, and control exercised by the person engaging the services. It is not defined by what the relationship is called by the participants. Regarding what, with that, I listened to Brian Dullivan with regarding the payroll and HR services that he would provide. When I was listening to him over and over about the town of Lancaster payroll and HR services, he quoted this, pretty archaic. When I hear somebody say that, I automatically ask myself, prove it. With no exact proof of the town's antiquated payroll and human resources and the financial department, proof. He did not bring any proof to the table.
I hate to tell you this, but I was just notified that we're right on that 5-minute time limit.
Could I have extra, please, if I may?
Sure.
So the Super Ruffino talked about streamlining of departments. When was a study occurred if manpowers, the staffing of Lancaster departments were understaffed? Never, I've never heard him or anybody else say that that study was done. And I know a lot of departments in the town are understaffed because I talked to the staffing. May I have some time with this? I'm going to be quick.
Yep.
Please.
Good, please, yes.
Please. Regarding my request from Town of Lancaster Public Board meeting with Town Supervisor Ruffino on the public town board meeting on the 1st of January 2023, accusing town board member Bob Leary of bullying and harassment of the reasoning that the supervisor, staff, the chief financial officer, assistant supervisor, accountant, and payroll supervisor resigned their positions because of town board member Leary. These accusations by Supervisor Ruffino towards town board member Leary under New York State open meeting law with public bodies open the channel for the public of Lancaster, your right to know law. Since the Supervisor Ruffino did not follow Town of Lancaster harassment prevention policy adopted by the town board in March of 2019, with Supervisor Ruffino not following the harassment prevention policy in New York Human Rights Law 296.1 and a complaint and investigation procedure, and with the investigation will be confidential to the extent possible, end quote. With what's written in the policy, all persons involved will be accorded due process under New York State Constitution Due Process Article 1, Section 6. Lastly, with the town board, Bob Leary on that 1st of January 2023 town public board meeting mightily said, quote, "That's a total lie. I've been like others coming to a conclusion that the supervisor accusation have no credible evidence with politics of destroying a Lancaster town board member Bob Leary's reputation." So as I have communicated to Lancaster Town Board supervision and members and with the town attorney Thomas Fowler, what has, if any, investigation of an incident with the public of Lancaster present? Or should the Lancaster public and I believe that these four town board members with the supervisor's office resigned all at once for reason that the public and I are not aware of? Unjustly and with no due process accusing town board member Leary, I've learned in my journey in life, where there's smoke, there's a fire. Observation with reasoning and logic and conclusion can be arrived with suspiciousness of these accusations. And I will finish with this comment. As a volunteer firefighter, in the past with a fire, we as firefighters did not want the fire to reignite. This is that time. With that comment, I know there's a sitting board member that I'm looking at right now that was accused of falsely, and very falsely, especially with the social networks we have nowadays. And if any one of the council members are gonna run for re-election or whatever, that's your God-given right. But this type of incident definitely will be used down the road and what I call verbal vomit. And these accusations need to be squashed now before election time comes up. And I appreciate the extra time. Thank you
very much, Mr. Nesbitt. Do we have anybody else? Melissa, please come up.
Hello, Melissa Studley, 5 Red Line Drive, Lancaster, New York. I just wanted to be brief and come up here and echo what Legislator Tadaro has said, and just thank you all for using common sense and really putting the safety of the Lancaster residents and town employees first with this natural gas ban. So great job at doing that, and I thank you all. So I'm not going to belabor it anymore. I think we're all pretty tired.
Thank you. Mr. Kevin?
Kevin Leemaster, 720 Schwartz. I also want to commend the board for doing this. I don't know how many people watch the news. In Minnesota, I believe, they just put a 20-year ban on mining operations for products like copper. Electricity goes through copper wire. So where are we going to get the copper if we're going to build out something that they're taking away, natural gas? So I don't know where Albany's getting their oxygen from, but it's not from breathing. So I hope this turns around and goes through this country like wildfire, because it's a lot of jobs, and if they take natural gas away, this country is going to be on its knees. Thank you.
Stench of Albany.
Anybody else? Second time? And if not, we're going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second?
Councilmember Burkhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Got your email.
Good afternoon.
We're working on it. I hate people in the head. No, you know what? We're just sitting there going, oh my God.